Danny Flexen here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by my good friend and top trainer at Matchroom Elite Gym, Tony Sims. Tony, we're here to talk about your 2024 as the year comes to a close. Um, you had the same group of fighters for such a long time. You had, Ted Cheeseman, Joe Cordina, Conor Benn, who is still there, of course. And now it seems like the next generation are coming through at your gym now, Lidard, Sains, Maisie Rose, and so on. Has it been kind of a back to basics kind of year, bringing prospects through again?
Yeah, and this happens. It's like with boxing, a boxer's really only got a short career. And as you say, I had a lot of world class boxers for quite a long time. John Ryder, Joe Cordina, Felix Cass, Ted Cheeseman, like you say, Conor Benn still there, Martin J. Ward, and you
Mm.
know they all had great careers. They all become world level fighters, and they've all retired now, and like Connor's like the eldest one in the gym now, and as you say, he was once a young kid in the gym compared to all them, and now he's the oldest one in the gym, and there'll be a day when Jules Liddell and Jimmy Sains will be the oldest ones in the gym, and that's what boxing's like. It's a short window. You get to world level. If you can stay at world level for however long and make your money when you're up there, that's what this game's about. But once you get up to world level, it's very difficult. You're fighting top elite fighters, and it's difficult to stay up there. And I've been fortunate to have trained a lot of great fighters over the years, and I believe now that in my young ones, especially Lidard and Sains, that I've got two kids that I believe that will become world level. And they're only young and it's early in their career. But obviously, I've developed so many young fighters into top fighters that I can see in these two that they've got the ability to do this.
How impressed have you been by their development so far this year?
It's always slow at first, Dan. Like they're obviously on the bottom of matchroom cards, and no one, they come on before the bell, and no one takes a lot of notice of them. But as you know, as they go along and their records start building, I mean, George is also all of a sudden on box rec number 8 in Britain, and I think Jimmy's number 14 now. So all of a sudden they get to 9, 10 fights, like, and then they start breaking in to that top 10. English titles start appearing, British titles, and people start taking notice of them then. But yeah, development's really good, and it's like I've said about them before. They're both really dedicated to the game, and they live boxing. And I think to become an elite fighter, you have to live this game. It's the only thing you should be thinking about. And with them both, they're like sponges. Everything you tell them to do in the gym, they exercise that in sparring, and they it's all they go. They don't go out. They're in bed early. They're just everything that you need to get to the top. They do, and then aside from that, they've also got the ability as well. And when you've got the ability and a dedication, and you've got both of them attributes, then you're looking at two young men that have got a possibility of going all the way through to world level, which I think they will do.
And you're going to end 2024 with three female boxers in the gym. You haven't always been known for training female boxers over the years. Is that something where your mindset's changed, or is it just the way the sport's changed?
I think it's just the way the sport's changed. Obviously, I've got John Ryder in there with me now as my assistant, and to be fair, he trains the girls, he trains the women, and not for any particular reason that I don't. It just seems to get a better. He seems to get a better repertoire with them all than me. Maybe because I'm a bit too old school, but he they just seem to get on with John better than me, and so yeah. I mean, listen, you've got to move with the times, and I've always said that you've got to move with the times. I remember when strength and conditioning first come into the sport, and that weren't really that many years ago because I remember in the 90s, like weights was like weights wasn't allowed in the gym. You know, boxers weren't allowed to do weights. Boxers weren't allowed to swim. You know, so it's all these things that have come into the sport over the years. You got to go. You must move with the times, otherwise you will become stagnant and, as I say, old-fashioned and like an antique furniture piece in the corner. If you don't move with the times, you must move with the times. And I've always tried to do that, is move with the times. And by developing young athletes, you've got to be your mind's got to be focused on moving forward and not backward. And with the women and the girls boxing, me the same as everybody else when it first came about professional boxing. I weren't sure about it, but it's like even my daughter now, she's going to do a Misfits fight in March now, her first Misfits fight. And I believe the 2-minute rounds as well is a great thing for women, even though a lot of them are campaigning for the 3-minute rounds. But I do like the 2-minute rounds. I think their fights, like when you watch Katie Taylor fight, are exciting. And I do believe that's a good thing. I think it could move to 12-2, to be honest, to make, you know, if you fight for world championships, I think 12-2 would probably be better. But you know, a lot of them are, from the first, when you're first watching the women boxing to now, I've seen a lot of different development in women. They're getting, you know, they're getting much better fighters, and you can see the skill set in a lot of them now, and becoming more quality in their boxing. And you know, it's good having them around in the gym as well. You know, it's fun, and you know, they all get on with the boys in the gym, and it's great banter in there still, and it's great.
And you said your daughter's having a Misfits fight. Are you gonna help train her for that, or would that be John Ryder as well?
Well, she's out in LA training actually.
Okay.
So listen to this, right, Dan. So this is a small world, yeah. So she's training in LA. She's living in LA, and she's training in LA, and she's training at the George Foreman gym.
Yeah.
And she she rang me a few weeks ago, and she said she come in the gym. She was training with a guy in there. Anyway, at the end of the session, the guy said to her, "Where you from?" So she went, "Oh, I'm from like Essex, London." So he said, "So am I from Essex, London." So she said, "Well, you must know my dad, Tony Sims." And he went, "Of course I know your dad. I know your dad well." He said, "Tell him Audley Harrison was asking after him." So
Holy.
he said it's my first day back in the gym today after 10 years away from boxing.
Wow.
And I've just come back in to start training. I've got like start working in this gym. So she's done a couple of sessions with Audley out there. So she's training well out there. But yeah, she's going to come back here January time, start training from March with me. And because I'd rather her be here with me when we're coming nearer to the fight. So, but she's enjoying the training, and you know, she's always kind of liked boxing when she was young, but like like you say, it wasn't really fashionable to do then, and now it is fashionable to do. She's looking forward to doing it.
Mad. Imagine doing your first Misfits fight and getting trained by an Olympic gold medalist. Nuts. Lucked out there.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about Joe Cordina earlier. He obviously moved on from the gym earlier this year. Any kind of disappointment there around that?
Well, it's always disappointing to lose one of your fighters. We had a good chat on the phone, and he like a lot of fighters when they lose, they want to have a change up of training. You know what I mean? And I wished him all the best. And Joe's got a lovely family and that, and I think very highly of Joe, and I wished him all the best. And you know, he's moved on, and hopefully he can grab a big fight. And he had a great career with me, winning two world titles, and we had a great 8 or 9 years together, and he'd done extremely well in 8 or 9 years, and I'm proud of what Joe achieved, and I wish him all the best for the future as well.
Conor Benn was recently cleared to resume his boxing career. That must have been a great relief to you and to him, obviously. But how challenging has it been over the past, what, he fought in February, so the past 10 months of him not being active?
Yeah, it's been a challenging the whole way through, and like you say there, I'm just pleased that he's through everything now, and he can totally focus on boxing. Obviously, when he boxed in February and in the September, he was weighted down. His mind weren't really 100% into what he was doing. And when you speak to coaches and top coaches, they say boxing is 90% mental ability, and obviously his mind wasn't there, and it was difficult for him to focus and completely concentrate on what he was doing in training and in the fight, because daily he had all this going on outside of the gym, and like you say, he's through and through that side of it, and now he's able to fight, and he's in a great position because obviously Matchroom are negotiating the Eubank fight, but they're also negotiating Barrios fight for him as well, because he's ranked number 2 with the WBC, and as we know, the number 1 Sissoko is injured at the moment, so he's he's in line to fight Barrios for the WBC. So being out in the wilderness, as you say, for the last 10 months, he's now in a great position to take one of them fights, and hopefully one of them fights gets done in the next few weeks, and then we'll know the date of the event and when he's going to fight again. And I'm looking forward to him fighting. He's kept in the gym and he's kept training, and he's looking forward to fighting.
And before I let you go, I want to ask you about a fighter you used to work with in Anthony Joshua, who had an up and down year, I think it's fair to say. The fight against Daniel Dubois, how surprised were you by how that unfolded, particularly how one-sided it ended up being?
Yeah, it's like beforehand. Obviously, you get asked to do quotes on the fight, and obviously I had Joshua favourite the same as everybody else, but I did know that Daniel was dangerous. I knew Daniel from the early days when I was going up GB, in the early days of working with Anthony, that when he used to spar with Daniel, and I knew he was a dangerous fighter. And I think I said in a few of the quotes that I made that if you look at the history of boxing, if you look at all the great fighters that are world heavyweight champions, and you go back to Ali, with Holmes beating Ali, and then you see Tyson beating Holmes, and then you see the great champions age, and then the young ones come through. It's just a part of history what happens, and I believe that's what has actually happened. As Joshua's had a great career. He's done for our sport amazing before he come along. Stadium fights, what he's produced one after the other was like I remember watching world title fights years ago in the York Hall and at the Elephant and Castle. Top fighters, world titles. And he's bought stadiums and massive arenas, packing O2 arenas out, and he's brought boxing to the forefront in Britain, and he's had a fantastic career. But everyone gets old, and there's always a youngster to come through, and Daniel Dubois was that young man coming through. And there'll be a day when he's Joshua's age and someone else is going to come through, and that's the way boxing evolves. And like we were saying earlier, it's a short career, and 1 minute you're the young guy in the gym, and the next minute you're the eldest in the gym, and that's how quick it goes. And I believe that's what happened. And everyone moves on, and it's Dubois' time now. And one day it'll be another youngster's time, maybe someone like Moses the Teamer. Maybe it'll come to the day when it'll be his time. And that's what happens in boxing. And it's just age and career, long career. And that's what happens.
So with that in mind, can Joshua, I mean, not can he, because he will continue, but should he continue? I mean, he's done so much, he doesn't need to fight necessarily.
No, you're right. And he's a very, very wealthy man, probably one of the wealthiest boxers that come from these shores, and very smart. And you're right, he don't have to fight. And if he does fight, I think he'll probably be looking at the Tyson Fury result, win or lose. If Fury wins and then Joshua challenges him, it's still a massive fight in Britain. If Tyson Fury loses and Joshua fights him, it's still a massive fight in Britain. We would all still like to see that fight. And perhaps being as smart as person as he is, he's probably maybe looking at that fight there and thinking that could be my swan song, because if Tyson Fury beats Usyk, maybe Joshua thinks he can fight Fury afterwards, and perhaps he thinks he can win. But either way, it'll probably be one of his last moves, and it would be a smart move. But obviously, that's up to him what he wants to do in his life. Like you say, he hasn't got to do anything. He's a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, a very, very wealthy man, and put boxing on the map in Britain for many years. And going forward, we'll always remember him for that.
Great stuff. Tony, it's always a pleasure, mate. I hope you have an amazing Christmas, and I look forward to catching up again in the new year.
Thanks, Dan. Have a good Christmas yourself with the family.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Speak
God
soon.
bless. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.